Welcome to Mysteries to Die For and this toe tag. I am TG Wolff and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is normally a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. Today is a bonus episode that we call a toe tag. It's the first chapter from a fresh release in the mystery, crime, and thriller genre. And today's featured release is Silent Killer by Tracy, Burnett, and Weiland. Alright, so once again, we are not going to do the first chapter. This is a very cool story, Silent Killer, and to really give you a taste of both the story and the two characters that you're going to be following, we are going to read the prologue, which is the incident that starts it all. And then we are going to read chapter 6, where you will get a real introduction to our hero, Special Agent Gordon Stone. And then we're going to jump to chapter 17 to meet the person that Agent Stone is, chasing, Jummal Adeyami, who is the eldest son of the chief of the village of Areti, Nigeria. Okay, so with that, let's get going with the prologue. Captain John Finch stared into space, his eyes unfocused. He reached over to a small wooden table, blindly turning off his alarm, which had not yet rung. It was 04:29 hours. Finch smiled as he sat up in bed, trying to remember the last time he needed an alarm to get him out of bed at his 04:30 wake-up time. He stretched his arms to the ceiling, then bent forward and grabbed his ankles, his forehead touching his knees in a perfect pike position. He held that pose for 30 seconds, and then stood up, awake and ready to roll. He dressed quickly in physical training gear and left his private quarters, one of the perks of being a ranking officer for this assignment. Finch broke into a run as soon as he was outside and headed to the airstrip. The U.S. Army owned him, but this morning ritual was his. For the next 30 minutes, he would run and sweat along the mile-long length of airstrip to clear his head and prepare for the day. The strip existed outside of an internally fenced U.S. perimeter within the Nigerian base camp established and occupied by the U.S. military. Inside the U.S. perimeter were sleeping quarters, a medical facility, and a small mess hall known as Little Mess. Little Mess had a kitchen and a dining area. A small attached lounge, known as the pub, consisted of a beer fridge and some beat-up furniture. Through a door on the far side of the pub was an office with a desk and conference table, around which 4 or 5 soldiers could meet, plan operations, and engage in after-action debriefs. The larger, busier mess hall was open to all on the main base, outside the U.S. section. It was referred to as Big Mess, and Finch instructed his team to eat most meals there. They were here to train the Nigerian army, after all, and Finch believed breaking bread with their Nigerian counterparts was a necessary step. His morning ritual complete, Finch walked into Big Mess in search of coffee. Finch loved physical training, but he loved his morning coffee even more. Finch nodded to a group of new Nigerian regulars he was still getting to know, grabbed a coffee, and approached a table crowded with his Special Forces brethren. Everyone grunted some form of greeting to their boss. Finch smiled at them and said, "Good morning, gentlemen. Hope everyone is well rested and well fed." That got a few insincere laughs. "Intel meeting in 15 at Little Mess, then straight to brief the Nigerians on today's training." He sipped his coffee and let out a contented sigh. "Any questions?" There were none. Finch and his team were in Nigeria to train Nigerian Army regulars in anti-terrorism tactics for use against Boko Haram and other similar organizations that had sprouted up in this part of the world. While not classified, the team's mission was discreet. It was not a secret that the U.S. Army supported the Nigerian armed forces with training and equipment, but it didn't exactly print recruiting posters of the effort either. United States armed forces outpaced the rest of the world in their ability to bring destructive forces to a particular place at a particular time, and as with countless other discrete deployments of U.S. forces throughout the world, this one had expanded beyond mere training of a foreign army. It was inevitable that when Finch's team arrived, they would, in reality, assume a leadership role beyond that of a simple training coordinator. The result, as any forward deploy soldier could tell you, was that the U.S. forces frequently became the focal point of the terrorist organization's wrath in that particular foreign country. In Nigeria, that meant Boko Haram, which had existed at various levels of influence since 2002. Teams like Finch's had been around almost as long, assigned to various regions in Nigeria to provide training to the Nigerian forces and support their efforts at suppressing a terrorist organization that had murdered tens of thousands. Finch's job was to train Nigerians how to repel these groups so Nigeria could continue to grow, evolve, and maintain its status as one of the United States' most influential allies in the region. Boko Haram and groups like it used violence, threats, fear, and intimidation to try and obstruct Nigeria's journey. Inevitably, units like Finch's immersed themselves in the ebb and flow of the surroundings. Connecting with the local community was critical and an invaluable part of their mission. Whether it was a steady supply of fresh eggs from a local chicken farmer or a piece of intel about a bad actor's activity, Finch, his team, and the Nigeria Army depended on these local relationships. And while the fresh eggs were terrific, the most valuable contribution was information about the bad guys. This human intelligence, or human in the Army's vernacular, allowed Finch's team and the Nigerians to enjoy multiple successes in the field. This did not sit well with Boko Haram, who viewed those assisting the Americans as betrayers of biblical proportion, worse than the Americans themselves. While Boko Haram enjoyed significant influence throughout Nigeria and ran several operations in Cameroon, their leader, Abubakar Shekau, had a vision of the group's rebirth to the north into Niger, Chad, and Sudan, eventually leading to Libya and Egypt. Shekau had said to entice his followers with visions of dipping their toes into the Mediterranean Sea after Boko Haram expanded its power, influence, and control across northern Africa. But Boko Haram could do none of that while fighting the Americans at home. To achieve this vision, Shekau would first have to remove the American army from Nigeria. At the briefing in Little Mess, Finch listened intently as his intel officer explained that the latest information received from Jojo, a human source who had been hanging around the base for several months. No one seemed to know how he got the name Jojo, but he got it and it stuck, and everyone seemed comfortable with him and the information he provided. Jojo had arrived with a compelling story. 3 years ago, Boko Haram kidnapped his sister, and he had not seen nor heard from her since. He was angry and wanted payback. A U.S. intel officer had conducted a standard introductory intelligence interview with Jojo. Regardless of the local population's cooperative attitude, sources still had to be vetted, and Jojo's story checked out. What Jojo didn't know, but U.S. intelligence was able to determine, was that Jojo's sister had been killed. Who done it remained a mystery. It had fallen to Finch to deliver the news to Jojo, and Jojo's attempt at stoicism had betrayed by a few silent tears, which dried quickly to be replaced by resolve. Boko Haram murdered my sister, Jojo had said. Finch made a mental note of the anger he sensed pouring from Jojo. If this guy actually had good intel, Finch thought, he could be a huge benefit to the U.S. mission. Jojo did have good information, and upon receiving the news of his sister's death, he began sharing it. He provided intel on several low-level Boko Haram gatherings, allowing the U.S. Nigerian forces to destroy a number of valuable targets. Using the United States drone capabilities, Finch's team eliminated several Boko Haram soldiers and successfully navigated the capture and interrogation of several more. Jojo's information continued to be significant and substantial, and his credibility with Finch and the team skyrocketed. Over time, Jojo became a welcome and valued part of the team, and whenever he came around, he brought an air of goodwill and a sense of mission accomplishment. On one occasion, Jojo brought Finch information requiring immediate action. This mission sounded like a pretty straightforward snatch and grab. Jojo had identified a camp with active Boko Haram soldiers, and without time to scout the area and see the target, Finch's team would go in blind, relying only on JoJo's intel and what they learned in real time once on the scene. Finch needed to clear the mission parameters and make sure his chain of command was fully aware of the circumstances. While the team prepared for its assault, Finch contacted his commander, Colonel Bartzel, at the United States African Command, AFRICOM, in Stuttgart, Germany. Bartzel was a seasoned operations officer, probably with a general's star in his future. Finch explained it was a low-risk operation with straightforward ingress and egress. Even if the intel was bad, availability of a quick and silent exit made it worth checking out. Bartzel did not like it, but with only minimal reluctance, he greenlit the mission. Finch and his team, along with some select Nigerian trainees, proceeded. When they arrived at the camp, Finch could not help but smile. "It's fish in a barrel time," he whispered to his Nigerian counterpart. Finch gave the execute command, and amid flashbangs and smoke, the team took the area, capturing 3 Boko Haram soldiers. Finch and the Nigerians caught them unaware, and not a single shot was fired. Back at base camp, the after-action debrief was short and sweet. The mission had gone flawlessly, and JoJo's place on Finch's team solidified. 3 weeks went by before JoJo emerged again from the Nigerian jungle, bringing new intel to Finch. "What brings you back today, JoJo?" For the next 10 minutes, JoJo explained there was to be a gathering of high-level Boko Haram leaders. It was not yet known where the meeting would take place. It would be a secret location and heavily guarded. No chance for an unsupported ground attack, like the last mission. JoJo gave Finch a wide region where the meeting was likely to take place, but he would not be able to provide the exact location coordinates until the participants were there and the meeting was underway. "Damn, JoJo," said Finch, "you're giving me a woody. When is this happening?" "Best guess? 4 days, Captain Finch," JoJo said with a shrug. "Maybe 5. "You're a goddamn hero, JoJo." Finch stood and extended his hand to JoJo. "Go do whatever the hell it is you do. We'll be ready. Just get me those coordinates." 4 days, Captain Finch. I'll be back." Finch contemplated this new intel, digesting it. Even if JoJo was only half right, a successful mission could cripple Boko Haram leadership. He spread the word to his U.S. team to gather for an intel briefing. At the briefing, he explained the information JoJo had provided. The excitement was palpable. Not knowing exactly what they would be up against caused only the slightest pause. Considering the general security of the meeting site, all agreed that if JoJo's intel provided accurate, the eye in the sky should light the place up. Then Finch's team could go in and pick up the pieces. Finch left the team to start preliminary planning and headed back to his quarters. He needed to call Colonel Bartzel. "Another no-see-em?" asked Bartzel. "Yes, sir," Finch replied. "But, sir, we've been down this road with this human before. Time and time he has absolutely delivered. That op 3 weeks ago that delivered 3 targets to your doorstep, that was this guy. If he's right on this, we could put Boko Haram out of business." "All right, Captain, let's not get ahead of ourselves on—" "Sir," Finch interrupted, "Shekau could be there." There was a pause on the line as Bartzel contemplated what Finch had said. Abu Bakr Shekau, Boko Haram's leader. If they knew where he would be and when, this could be an extraordinarily big deal. "You've got a few days. Start planning and get ready. Let's see what this guy brings you. We'll get a bird up when the time comes. Keep us posted, Captain." "Roger that, sir," Finch replied. "And John, this is need to know. No details to the Nigerians until you're on your way. Just make sure they're ready to go." "You got it, Colonel. I'll keep it vague." "It's happening," Shekau said to Mahmoud Adamu, his deputy and closest confidant. Adamu nodded respectfully. "His will be done," he said. "Yes," responded Shekau, "his will indeed." He paused a moment, looking directly at Adamu. "You know what must happen. After?" "Yes, it will be taken care of." "It's going to work," Shekau said. "Your brilliant plan after all this time." He grabbed his deputy by both shoulders, holding the man at arm's length. Staring intently into Adamu's eyes, he whispered, "It's going to work." With a hint of genuflection, Adamu turned and left the room. Shekau sat alone with his thoughts. The United States had far too long had meddled in the affairs of Boko Haram. It was time for the U.S. to be embarrassed, humiliated, and politically compelled to leave Nigeria. Shekau could deal with the Nigerian army, but the Americans were like an open sore. They brought money, weapons, technology, and sophisticated military skill into the equation. He did not have the resources to deal with the Americans directly. He needed them gone. Adamu's plan truly was a genius counterintelligence maneuver, though it had been costly, not in terms of dollars so much as in the lives of his brethren. Some had been captured by the Americans, some even killed. But if the plan worked, it will have all been worth it. If the Americans left Nigeria, Boko Haram would be reborn, its expansion into northern Africa all but assured. Other than Adamu and himself, only one other person knew about the plan that was in motion, and Shekau had only met the third member of their conspiracy a few times. He did not even know his real name, only that the Americans called him Jojo for some unknown reason. Adamu had introduced him, and Shekau was immediately impressed. Jojo was not a typical Boko Haram soldier. Sure, he was a believer, but not one born of desperation. He was educated, for one thing, and a thinker. It had been his suggestion that to truly establish credibility with the Americans, he would have to provide them with information that could actually hurt Boko Haram's interest. Yes, Shekau was impressed. Plus, the man had an incredible story. His sister had been killed in a car accident 3 years ago, and that was spun until history was rewritten as a kidnapping and told to help secure the man's place with the Americans. Then, for a while, everything Jojo did would hurt Boko Haram. It was a heavy cost, but necessary to build trust with the American. Now, when the time was right, Shekau would strike at the Americans without lifting a finger, firing a weapon, or being anywhere near the catastrophe that would send the Americans out of Nigeria. Jojo would have to be dealt with, of course. That was unfortunate, but also necessary. If the plan came to light, Shekau would lose everything. His position within Boko Haram, most likely his life. After his meeting with Shekau, Adamu went to meet Jojo. He gave Jojo no indication that the plan's final phase was now in play. To Jojo, it was just another meeting, just another mission. Adamu placed a slip of paper in Jojo's hand, saying, "Give that to the American leader. Tell him the meeting has already begun and ends around 1:30. We can't give them too much time, so you'll have to plan your arrival at the base. 11 o'clock should do it." Adamu had prayed daily that his calculations were accurate. The amount of intelligence the Americans allowed on the internet was stunning, but there was still no guarantee of its accuracy. The drone was key. It had to get within firing range, but not close enough for its cameras to see the target. The drone would come from the north, while the foot soldiers, Jojo's contacts, would come from the east. The meeting needed to end before the soldiers arrived, requiring the drone to get the job done. Jojo nodded. He knew what he had to do. Adamu said a prayer for his loyal soldier, knowing he would never see him again. 6 days had passed when the Nigerian gate guard called to let Finch know Jojo had returned. Finch asked the guard to bring Jojo to the U.S. section immediately. He glanced at his watch, 11:04 hours, and went to the section entrance himself to greet Jojo. His relief was eclipsed only by his curiosity about what Jojo had to tell him. Jojo appeared a bit flustered, and Finch invited him to the pub. They sat at the table outside of Finch's office. "I was about to send a search party," said Finch. "Much apologies, Captain Finch. Very, very sorry, but no time." He shoved a slip of paper into Finch's hand. Finch examined the paper, which revealed only a latitude and longitude. "Okay, that's our location." tell me you know when. Now, Captain Finch. Big meeting already begins. Over soon. Around 1:30. Without missing a beat, Finch poked his head into Little Mess. Settle up, boys. We're doing this now. He looked around Little Mess for Omar. Omar's real name was Corporal Dean Bradley, but even now, if you were in the Army and your name was Bradley, everyone called you Omar, after the legendary general. Omar, take Jojo over to Big Mess and get him some chow, Finch instructed. Stepping back inside the pub, he looked at Jojo. You're a good man, Jojo. He extended his hand, and Jojo obliged him with the firm handshake. When this is over, you and me are going to celebrate, okay? You head to Big Mess and get a hot meal. Omar will walk you over, and I'll see you when you get back. Time for me to get to work. Thank you, Captain, said Jojo with a smile, and with a slight bow, he left. Finch called Colonel Bartzel. The situation was critical, and Finch needed a decision now. Captain Finch, I thought you forgot about us, all of us desk jockeys up here at AFRICOM. It's been 6 days, son. What you got? Sir, we are mission critical. We got a location, but sir, the time is now. The meeting has already begun. It's happening now, and the window closes at 13:30. Any word on Chicago? Not confirmed, sir, but there's a chance, but we won't know until we get there. Sounds like that might be too late. Yes, sir. Finch paused. Sir? Speak your mind, John. Sir, I know this isn't ideal, but we are out of time. My guys can hit the road in 10, but neither us or your bird will have time to put our eyes on the target before this meeting is over. You know I believe in our guys, sir. He has never given us bad intel, and it's a hot target right now, and my recommendation is to light him up, and we get there when we get there. Finch got an uncomfortable silence as a response. He was about to repeat his recommendation, with more colorful language, when Bartzel broke the silence. Make it happen, Captain. Tell your ground team to haul ass. They need to be there yesterday. If you somehow get there before the drone, paint it. If not, we'll go with the coordinates your source provided. My bird will be airborne in less than 30 minutes. We'll go full throttle. If we can't get into recon position by 13:20, we'll launch with the pre-programmed coordinates. I won't wait for you to paint the son of a bitch, so at 13:20, you need to be clear of the target. Radio silence until then. Got it? Roger, sir. We're on it. Launch at 13:20. John? Yes, sir? I'd really like to be amazed with your speed and have your team there first. Understood, sir. Good luck, John. Happy hunting. As soon as Bartzel got off the call with Finch, he called Sand Creek, the classified drone hub of Western Africa, located at a small airbase attached to the airport in Burkina Faso, northwest of Nigeria. It's time to go. Get that Reaper in the air now. Coordinates are on the way. At Sand Creek, a ground crew jumped to life. They were used to sending up surveillance drones all over Western Africa, but a Reaper was different. An MQ-9 Reaper hunter-killer drone was the most advanced and most lethal unmanned aerial vehicle the world had ever produced. They did not call it a Reaper because it took great pictures. Finch's team moved with the speed of a seasoned Special Forces squad. No choppers this time. Stealth was the key right up to the moment the Reaper unleashed hell. If all went exceedingly well, his team would get there first and confirm, then paint the target where the meeting was being held, ensuring a direct hit from the Reaper. Then his team would mop up, gather any intel they could confirm the dead, and bring any left alive back to base camp. If they were lucky, Finch thought, Boko Haram would assume its rightful position as a pimple on the ass end of history, never to be heard from again. No choppers, but two four-door Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks racing through the back roads of rural Nigeria might still get noticed. That could not be helped. But after an hour's drive, they would stop 10 clicks from the target and hump the rest of the way through the jungle. To paint the target in time for a 13:20 Reaper strike, they would need unobstructed eyes on the building not later than 13:18. Finch knew that would be a stretch, even for his elite team. They were not jogging by the base airstrip today. He hoped conditions on the hump would be good and they would get there in time for the fireworks at least. Far from the commercial jets of Ouagadougou, a Reaper jumped to life as the launch pilot got the bird airborne. Halfway around the world, a U.S. Air Force warrant officer stepped into a small, windowless room at Creech Air Force Base in the desert a few miles outside of Las Vegas. The warrant officer settled into the ergonomic pilot seat, put on a headset, and opened communications with the launch pilot at Ouagadougou. The launch pilot turned over control of the Reaper to the warrant officer, who grabbed the stick between his legs and pulled back. The Reaper climbed to 25,000 feet before banking south toward the pre-programmed target location. The warrant officer leveled the Reaper, checked all systems, avionics, and weapons. Definitely weapons. His orders were to proceed to the program coordinates with all due speed and be prepared to unleash holy hell on the target with the launch order from AFRICOM. With the systems all checked out, he edged the Reaper's speed close to its maximum 300 miles per hour. "Off we go, into the wild blue yonder," he sang, wondering who pissed off who today. Finch's 2 pickups left the road and pulled into a secluded clearing. They had made it in less than an hour, ahead of schedule, but a 10-click hump with gear through the jungle provided a tough path on which to make good time. Finch looked at the team. Everybody was out of the trucks, assembled and ready to go in seconds. Finch directed an affirmative nod toward the Nigerians. Could be a good group, he thought. "Sir," he said to the Nigerian team leader, "with your permission." The Nigerian offered a salute, which Finch returned before addressing the team. "Gentlemen, you've all been briefed on the way here. You know what's at stake. We're going to have to push hard to reach the target and paint it by 1320. Otherwise, we're mopping up after the Reaper has done its work. We're quick and quiet. Radio silence until the drones strike. Let's haul ass." With smiles all around, the team entered the jungle. At Creech, the warrant officer rechecked his systems. The normal routine called for him to get there, do some recon, take some pictures, see what he was blowing up. Today's mission was not normal, and he knew he would not get there in time to see the target through the Reaper's cameras. But if the ground pounders moved faster than anticipated, they might have a chance to confirm the target and put a laser on it, painting it, and virtually guaranteeing a hit within an inch or two of the red dot, whether the Reaper could see the target or not. That made for great video in the debrief, but he knew those ifs were unlikely. He would be shooting blind if he got the launch order, with only programmed coordinates to guide the strike. There was not much he could do until then. He checked the time. Not much longer. At AFRICOM, Bartzel sat anxiously in the command center. He looked at the digital clock synced with Nigeria time for about the 1,000th time, then looked up at the screen showing the Reaper's location. So fucking close, he thought. This was no movie, and Bartzel did not have real-time satellite video on Finch's ground team, though he knew generally where they were. The open question was when would they arrive at the scene. When the clock reached 13:15 hours, Bartzel picked up the phone, already linked with Creech. "Let me talk to the pilot," he said. Finch checked his watch. 13:16 hours. They would be there in minutes. They had made amazing time through some dense jungle, but would not get there before the scheduled Reaper strike at 13:20 hours. It looked like mop-up and intel gathering for his crew today. Bartzel was patched through to the pilot of the Reaper. "Reaper 1, this is Colonel Bartzel at AFRICOM. We are a go on my command. Ground forces are approaching. Assume launch attitude and proceed with weapons check." "That's affirmative, AFRICOM. Weapons are a go. Proceeding to launch attitude." An endless minute ticked by. Bartzel checked the clock again. 13:18 hours. 2 minutes to launch. He got up out of his chair. Just as he was about to speak, the warrant officer broke the tension. "AFRICOM, Reaper 1 is in position. Coordinates are locked in. No eyes on target. Repeat, no eyes on target. Ready to launch at your command. Understood, Reaper 1, responded Bartzel. Stand by. 1319 hours. Damn it, he shouted at no one. I need more time. With arms crossed and brow furrowed, Bartzel made the call. He wanted to see this target. He wanted to see it and confirm what it was. 5 minutes more. The drone would not get close enough for pictures, but maybe Finch's team was close. If they could get there, confirm and paint the target, Bartzel would get the warm, fuzzy feeling he so desperately sought. I'm giving another 5 minutes, he told the pilot at Creech. Roger that, AFRICOM. Maintaining launch attitude and continuing toward target. Launch time is now 13:25 local. Finch's team regrouped at the edge of the small village. Finch looked at his watch. Something was wrong. It was 13:22, but there was no sign of an attack. They heard no explosions, saw no smoke or fire. There was nothing that would indicate a missile had just destroyed a building in a village. That is not good, thought Finch. Time was critical and the target should have been hit 2 minutes ago. He considered breaking radio silence, contacting Bartzel. Instead, he signaled to Smitty, a U.S. Army sergeant, to come to him. Grab Donk and head to the target site, he whispered. Donk was a Nigerian soldier who had proven himself with the Americans on prior missions. He was one of their best. See what you can see. Slow and steady, okay? You do not need to be seen out there. Maintain radio silence unless there's a problem. Stay outside the blast radius. No one on my team is getting blown up today. If you can paint it, paint it. Got it? Smitty gave Finch a thumbs up and disappeared. It was 13:25 hours and still no word from AFRICOM. The warrant officer reconnected with Bartzel. AFRICOM, Reaper 1 affirming weapons are hot and we are in position to fire. No visual confirmation of the target. We are at launch time. Reaper 1 is standing by. Roger that, Reaper 1. Stand by, answered the colonel. Smitty and Donk stayed in the shadows as they approached the outer perimeter of the target. Something was off. It had all the appearance of a traditional Nigerian village going about a typical day. Smitty saw no Boko Haram guards. There was no established security perimeter, and there certainly was no indication of a secret Boko Haram meeting. Smitty considered breaking radio silence to contact Captain Finch. Instead, he said, Donk, are we in the right place? Donk shrugged. Target coordinates are right up ahead. Let's go see. It was 13:26 hours. At AFRICOM, Bartzel brought the phone up to his ear. He could not wait any longer. He was shooting blind, relying solely on Finch's humid source. Finch's belief in that source and the coordinates the source provided. But if Shekau was there, that would be a general star for sure, Bartzel thought. Even if Shekau did not make the meeting, it would be a big win for the good guys. He checked the clock. 13:27 hours. Reaper 1, this is AFRICOM. Mission is a go. Launch approved. Affirmative, AFRICOM, the pilot responded. Please confirm we have not yet reached the site and we have no eyes. Repeat, no eyes. Mission is a go, Reaper 1, replied Bartzel. Launch now. The pilot's grip on the stick tightened imperceptibly. With an easy squeeze on the trigger, the Reaper belched death from above. Missile away. It took only a few seconds for Smitty and Donk to find a secluded spot with a clear line of sight to the target. Smitty raised the handheld laser designator to his right eye. He was about to trigger the laser and paint the target when Donk grabbed the designator out of his hand. What the fuck? Asked Smitty. That cannot be the target. Look again, Donk said, handing the designator back to Smitty. Oh shit, said Smitty as he looked again. He stood up in a daze, the designator dropping from his hand. As it hit the ground with a smack, Smitty recovered from his shock and scrambled to radio Finch. Abort! 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 Smitty screamed. Cap, it's a fucking... An explosion rocked the village. Finch never heard the end of Smitty's call. All right, that was the prologue. I know, pretty intense, huh? Believe me, I read this book in binge mode. All right. Chapter 6. As the two men separated, McNeely stepped back from the embrace, arms extended, hands grasping Gordon's shoulders. Gordon still wore a look of resigned bewilderment. McNeely gave Gordon's shoulder a firm squeeze. "Look at you," he said. "Special Agent Gordon Stone, and a U.S. Attorney's Award for Excellence." McNeely was smiling now. "You look like your dog just died, son. I know you hate these things, but you do understand that this is a good thing, yes?" Gordon focused on McNeely, looking him in the eye. "I do, boss. His voice drifted off. "You just what? You just wish you could enjoy this? You wish you could be normal?" McNeely dragged the word out with a hint. A smile appeared on Gordon's face. "How many times do I have to explain it to you, Gordo?" McNeely waved a hand around the room before returning it to Gordon's shoulders. "This is fucking bullshit. It's a goddamn circle jerk with the fine folks of the EDVA," McNeely said, emphasizing every letter. "You know what's not bullshit? What's not a circle jerk?" After a pause, McNeely continued, "Come on, Gordo, say it with me." "The work," they both said. "Goddamn right," McNeely said, and with the final squeeze, released his grip on Gordon's shoulders. "Tell you what," McNeely added, "why don't you take the rest of the day, maybe call your shrink, see if you can have a convo with her this afternoon." "I was going to go back to the office," Gordon protested. "Do some of the work." "Take the day, Gordon. Call the doc," McNeely said. Gordon knew the conversation was over. "Will do, boss," he said as he turned to leave, reaching into his pocket to dig out his cell phone. He was only a few steps away when McNeely called out, "Hey, Gordo!" Gordon turned to look at his boss. "Congratulations, Agent Stone!" McNeely practically shouted. Gordon smiled and walked away. In his car in the parking lot, Gordon dialed Catherine. Her machine answered and he left a message. "Hi, Catherine. It's me, Gordon. I was wondering if you had any time this afternoon. Just a few minutes would be fine, not like a whole session or anything. Anyway, I had that awards thing this morning. The room was packed and everyone was looking at me. And there was this reporter and I spilled water everywhere. And, well, I got to the P's, Catherine. Can't remember the last time I got to the P's. Well, yes, I can. It was July 3 years ago when Never mind. Anyway, if you got a minute, my boss made me call." He hung up, exasperated. He only met with Catherine monthly now, and his next appointment was 22 days away. He had not needed an unscheduled visit in years. When Catherine got Gordon's message, she found time to see him despite her full schedule. He had been doing very well, so well that she was suggesting cutting back on his visits to quarterly at their next session. She listened to his message a second time to make sure she heard it right. "He made it to the P's," she said aloud in her office, shaking her head. Gordon had to be quite agitated to make it that far through the Pokemon characters. Picking up the phone at her desk, she dialed Gordon. He picked up immediately and was still in the parking lot, sitting and waiting for Catherine's call. "Hey, Gordon," Catherine said. "You okay?" Gordon walked Catherine through the awards ceremony and everything that happened. "Listen, Gordon, you made it through it all. You used the techniques we worked on, and you got through it. Sometimes it's going to be a little hard with a few bumps, but you did it. You got through it. You survived." She let that sit with Gordon for a moment. "Listen, I've got some time this afternoon. Can you be here at 2? "Yeah, I can be there. Thanks, Catherine. Just a few minutes." "Sure, just a few minutes. I'll see you at 2. Gordon arrived at 1:55 p.m. and sat in the waiting area. At precisely 2, the door to Catherine's office opened, and she greeted him with a warm smile. "Hey, Gordon, how are you?" Gordon knew this was not small talk. Catherine oozed sincerity, and when she asked, "How are you?" she well and truly meant it. Gordon thought she was very good at her job. "I'm okay," he answered, still a bit rattled from earlier. "Well, come on in, let's chat." Catherine ushered him into her office. A wooden desk sat behind a window at the far end, with 2 formal chairs in front of the desk. He had not sat in either of those chairs since his first trip here after his student teaching meltdown so many years ago. Back then, he was a scared 22-year-old who had famously blown up any chance he had to follow in the academic footsteps of his parents. He could remember distinctly sitting in the chair on the left, rubbing his hands together and staring at his shoes. His mother had sat on the right and done all the talking. The conversation was a buzz in his ears. He could not have told you who Catherine was or what she looked like or what was said. He just nodded his head when Catherine asked, "Does that sound okay to you, Gordon?" He started weekly visits that lasted a long time. After a while, weekly turned into every other week, and then monthly. He never sat in that formal chair again. Just inside the doorway, a section of the office was arranged like a small living room. 2 big, comfortable stuffed chairs on a thick, soft carpet. A small table sat beside each chair, big enough for a cup of coffee or a bottle of water, and the lamps that were adjustable and could aim just the right amount of light at any particular spot. He did not know how it worked, but when he sat in the big stuffed chair and talked with Catherine, the rest of the office melted away and time flew. Their hour-long sessions, really 50 minutes, Gordon teased, always ended too soon for him. Sometimes he felt like he could sit in that chair and talk with Catherine forever. "Have a seat," she said, motioning to one of the cushioned chairs. "You want some water?" "Better not. Wouldn't want to spill it on you." Catherine smiled as she turned to him. "Gordon Stone, is that a joke? Are you making a joke about your episode today?" Gordon blushed but did not respond. Only then did he realize that he had, in fact, been making a joke. It was even a pretty good joke, he thought. These chairs really are amazing. Catherine took her seat in the chair opposite his. "So, what's going on, Gordon? Tell me what happened." Gordon walked her through his morning. The crowd, the award, the cameras, the U.S. attorney, the leg pumping, the hand tapping, the Pokemon recitation. He told her about the reception and about Sophia Pressman and ASAC McNeely and about spilling water and hugging his boss. When he was done, he was almost sweating. "How do you feel about all that?" Catherine asked. "I hate it," he answered. "I hate that I get so rattled by it all. I hate that I have to recite characters from a kid's video game just to cope and get through it. I hate that I can't talk to people. I hate that my only friend is my boss. And I hate that I feel this way and that I'm never, ever gonna not feel this way. I hate that I had to call you, that my boss gave me the afternoon off to do so." Gordon paused. "I hate all of it." He looked up at Catherine. She saw a tear running down his cheek and handed him a tissue. "All of it? You hate all of it?" she asked. He nodded. "Huh," she said. "You know, you can't help what you feel. Right now you feel bad because of the situation you were in, and that's okay. It's okay to feel bad. None of these feelings are wrong. This is who you are, and this is how you do it, and that's okay. Today you managed the situation. You handled it. Was it a little rocky? Sure, but so what? You're self-aware, Gordon. You know your Asperger's makes you who you are, and it's okay. We'll keep working, and you'll keep getting better at managing the situation." Intellectually, Gordon understood all of this. Nevertheless, it frustrated him at a human level. If he was that smart and that self-aware, why was it still a problem? Why was he unable to overcome his differences and be comfortable interacting with high school kids or receiving an award or just making regular conversation with people? "You know," he said, "I applied to the FBI once. I was 28. Got an interview, but they wouldn't take me. You know why? Because of this." He pointed to his head. "Because of the differences up here." Catherine frowned at him, shaking her head. "Ooh, the FBI. Think about that for a sec. Look where you are. A special agent with the FDA's Office of Criminal Investigation, an award-winning special agent, no less." Catherine paused to let him absorb her words. "Did you ever consider that maybe, just maybe, the reason you're where you are today is because your brain works differently? Because your focus and how you see the world drives you? Because your devotion to process always allows you to see things others can't?" Catherine paused again and lowered a voice. "Did you ever consider that maybe the FBI screwed up when they didn't hire you?" Gordon managed a weak smile. Why were you at that ceremony today, Gordon? To get an award. But why did you get the award? For that fraud case. Company was trying to sell useless drugs and people were dying. Okay, but why you? Why you, Gordon? Because I figured it out. You figured it out. You solved the case. And why did you solve the case? That's my job. Your job? Come on, Gordon, I read the news. You're not writing parking tickets. You sent a bunch of bad people to prison and brought down a corrupt company that was killing people. How did you do that? He thought for a moment. Catherine stared at him silently. I did the work. That's right, Catherine said, leaning forward in her chair. You did the work. You did the work like hardly anyone else can do it. You were diligent. You were focused. You were smart. You were relentless. You wouldn't stop, couldn't stop, because you had to right a wrong. Gordon, that is who you are. The person who doesn't like crowds or attention or social settings is the same person. Maybe the only person who can solve that case. You have high-functioning autism. Sometimes that's going to throw a hurdle or two in your way. But you're going to keep working on that. Look how far you've come. Think about it, Gordon. Gordon sat quietly staring at Catherine. Slowly, he shut his eyes, remembering. 10 years ago, his mother first brought him to see Catherine. He came in every week, sitting in this exact chair. After a couple of months, his fog began to clear, and he started remembering his meltdown as a student teacher. Surprising himself, he was able to talk about it with Catherine. What happened, why it happened, and how to manage it when it happened again. Together, they came up with the calming technique of reciting the Pokemon character names. Gordon was shocked at how this simple trick worked to calm him and relax him. It also made him smile. For a near friendless boy with an active imagination, the characters were a pleasant childhood memory for him. Reciting their names was a warm, soothing exercise. 3 months into therapy, he and Catherine determined it was time for him to get a job. Academia was out, but Gordon's chemistry degree got him an entry-level position as an inspector at the Food and Drug Administration. Looking back, Gordon realized the job saved him and changed his life forever. All right, now we are going to hop all the way down to chapter 17. 2 6-hour flights, separated by a 7-hour layover at London's Heathrow Airport, had been somber for Jummal. His typical joie de vivre had been ripped away. He ate and slept little and spent most of both flights staring out the window into the void. His father and brother Oku met Jummal at Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos. The Toyota Land Cruiser Jummal had helped the family purchase with his first bonus check from Fieldtown Foods was showing some wear. Understandable, as it already had more than 100,000 kilometers on it when Jummal bought it. Oku saw Jummal looking at the old truck. Might be time for a new one. Ken keeps it running, but it owes us nothing. Oku drove, their father up front in the passenger seat. Jummal had the back seat to himself. He fought off the jet lag and perched in the middle of the seat on the front edge, his head partially crossing the plane into the front cab. Oku focused on the 4-hour drive back to Eredi, while their father shared what he knew. He described the explosion and the destruction of the school and the horrors of the aftermath. His father seemed to age before Jummal's eyes as he shared the story of the devastation in the village, the life draining away from him with every word. His eyes welled with tears as he mumbled, "At least they didn't suffer," referring not just to his daughters, but to all the girls, the staff at the school he built. He collected himself. "I am glad you are home, son. We need you now more than ever." Jummal gave his father a slight nod and sat back in his seat. The information overwhelmed him. In shock, saddened, and resigned to his fate, he felt himself fade and finally succumb to his exhaustion. He woke with a start, his heart racing as Oku pulled up to the site of the devastation. His brother Cam was there, opening the chief's door first, then Jummal's. The brothers shared a long embrace as dusk settled over Eredi. "Come, Jummal," their father interrupted. He guided Jummal to the edge of the still smoldering crater, where the school once stood. Villagers who had gathered to mourn gave them room with deferential nods to the chief and his eldest son. Looking into the abyss, Jummal summoned tears that he had not believed he had any left. "Let's walk, Jummal," the chief said, grasping Jummal's arm at the elbow. As they slowly walked around the perimeter of the crater, Oku assumed a position behind his father and older brother. Oku's place was no longer by his father's side, and he willingly gave way to Jummal. As it should be, Oku thought. Jummal took it all in. Being here brought home with the force that he would never see his sisters again. He recorded the scene in his mind. The finality of it triggered something deep inside of Jummal. This was home. These were his people. He was their future chief. As they walked, his father spoke of expectations for Jummal and the eventual transition of the chief's authority to him. Jummal feigned rapt attention, a trick he learned from endless meetings in corporate America. He nodded in all the right places and mumbled appropriate affirmations when he sensed a pause in his father's monologue. But his focus was on the simmering crater. Palpable heat came out of the hole in waves, as if the dead were reaching out to the living from under the broken concrete and ash. He listened and heard his father, but his focus was internal. What's next, he thought. For me, for Iredi, what's next? Jummal shivered and turned to his father. "A funeral," he said, interrupting. "What?" asked the chief, caught off guard. "We have to have a funeral for Abiona and Abibi, for all of them," Jummal said, looking into the crater. Of course, son, that will come." The chief looked perplexed, unclear about Jummal's meaning. Jummal turned back to his father. "We will mark this day, father," he said, tears welling yet again. "We will mark this day and we will remember it forever. Remember them forever," he said, his voice rising as he turned to face the crater. "A piece of Iredi's soul has been taken from us. It is our worst day." Jummal was almost shouting now, forcing the crater as though the dead could hear him. "But it will bring out the best in all of us, in all of Iredi," he said, turning back to his father, the chief. Oku stared wide-eyed at Jummal. "Yes, brother," he had said with unhidden pride. "We will honor them, father," Jummal continued. "Abibi, Abiona, all of them. We will honor them and mark this day." The chief stood silently, staring intently at Jummal. He was beaming. There was even a hint of a smile. "Yes, son, a funeral," was all he could muster. And then, after a pause, he said to his sons, "Let's go home." "Just a few more minutes," said Jummal. He stepped off on his own, approaching the gathered villagers. Some he recognized and exchanged a brief greeting with. To others he offered a warm nod and a comforting touch on the arm or shoulder in silence. This was Jummal's destiny. These people, this village. It was a sacred moment on newly sacred ground. When he finally arrived home, Jummal shared an extended hug with his mother. Like the chief, Kiki seemed to have aged significantly. She was visibly tired, but Jummal still saw the familiar twinkle in her eye. The spirit there was alive. And when the two finally parted, the chief stepped in and hugged his wife. "Our son is ready," he whispered in Kiki's ear. "He's going to heal Iredi." All right, I know that was a bit of a long reading, but again, this is a complicated story, and to really understand if this is going to be a book for you, I wanted to give you a taste of, the setting, the scene and the setting, and then the two characters that we will follow throughout the story, Jummal and Gordon. So Silent Killer is a suspense thriller. Special Agent Gordon Stone with the Food and Drug Administration's Office of Criminal Investigation is on loan to a terrorism joint task force led by the FBI. After weeks of being relegated to grunt tasks, Gordon finally has his own case, and it's in his field of expertise, wholesale food. His target is Jummal Adeyami, vice president of a grocery chain who is exhibiting behavior odd enough to send up red flags on the terror watch. And while Stone is ordered to shut the investigation down, he's sure there's more to the story. Is it enough to save him from insubordination charges? There's only one way to find out. Bottom line, Silent Killer is for you if you like intellectual thrillers where questions aren't as simple as black and white. So as I already said, there is a lot to unpack on this one. Let me see if I can give you a little bit more of a synopsis here. The story starts, as you heard, with the U.S. military drone targeting what they think is a key meeting among Boko Haram leadership, but is really a school for girls in a remote Nigerian village. An entire generation of females are destroyed, with not even enough left to bury. Among the dead are two of the village chief's daughters, one a teacher and one a student. Enter Jummal Adeyami, heir apparent to his father, the chief. He is called home from the U.S. to take his seat in the village. But Jummal has no outlet for the confusion, anger, and the grief that consumes him, and he devises a plan to strike back at the U.S. in an eye-for-an-eye type of way. Then meet Special Agent Gordon Stone, an extraordinary investigator. His superior power is the very thing he hates about himself. His superpower is the very thing he hates about himself, his Asperger's. After Stone wins an award for his work on an FDA case, he is offered to the FBI to join a joint task force on terrorism. When Adeyami's information lands on Stone's desk, it's with the thought that Adeyami was a fraud victim. Not one to skip steps, Stone thoroughly investigates, and what he finds only makes him look deeper. So Gordon Stone, as our hero, is a highly intelligent, socially awkward, and completely aware of who he is and who he is not. Burnett and Weiland paint a complex character, one who is still learning to be who he is. Stone doesn't initiate the story, but he keeps the investigation going on a parallel path to Adeyami. Stone stands up to the rigidity of rank to do the work, which is ironic as no one likes to follow process like Stone does. Jummal Adeyami is the antagonist. I won't call him a bad guy like I usually do, because he isn't. He is a good man who is doing something very bad. Once Jummal starts his plan, he injects the energy, money, and initiative that keeps the story going. He doesn't know Stone is on to him, so he continues to act according to his plan. The storytelling stands out as a strength of Silent Killer. We see the story unfold from both Stone's and Adeyami's point of view. Significant time is spent with each character before switching, which gives the reader time to really get inside each character's world. I was drawn deeply into both characters, and while I cheered for Stone to win, I empathized with Adeyami and kept hoping he'd pull himself out of his spiral. Burnett and Weiland write with an insider's level of knowledge and detail about the systems that are the first line of defense against terrorism and the way they work behind the scenes with relationships that can affect the process in unimaginable ways. While I will not claim that I completely understood it all, it certainly was written in a way that was highly accessible and, importantly, entertaining. The logic in this story is solid with very little to pick on. As previously stated, Stone and Adeyami are on converging paths, each making decisions that were true to their character throughout the book. If I complain about anything, it's that I wanted to know more on the resolution to the school bombing. Were the military leaders who made the horrendous mistake held accountable? Was Boko Haram? Silent Killer was a very highly entertaining read. I read most of it in one sitting, binging and like missing dinner, all that kind of fun stuff, all while it snowed outside here. Every time I wanted to take a break, finding out what happened next won out. So here's an important detail y'all need to know. Silent Killer was published by Down and Out Books, who is in the process of closing their doors. The book is still available through the end of the year at most of your favorite digital retailers, with paperback available from Amazon. Burnett and Weiland are in the process of finding a new outlet, so if you don't happen to pick up your copy here in the next couple of weeks, you can follow them, keep up with Gordon Stone on their website, gordonstonerules.com. They'll update the information on availability. So now, let me introduce you to our authors. Tracy Burnett began his law enforcement career as a deputy sheriff at the Palm Beach County, Florida Sheriff's Department. His next stop was with the Drug Enforcement Administration, where he became a special agent and went through training at FBI Academy in Quantico, as well as DEA U.S. Ranger training, U.S. Army Ranger training. That began a 25-year federal law enforcement career leading investigations on behalf of the U.S. Departments of Justice, State, and Defense, among others, where he worked both domestically and around the globe. Tracy now works as an adjunct professor for the School of Public Affairs in the Key Executive Leadership Program at American University in Washington, D.C. Ross Weiland was a journalist in New York City before attending law school and joining the U.S. Navy's Judge Advocate General Corps in 1998. He served as a prosecutor, criminal appeals attorney, and civil litigator in the Navy before transitioning to a federal civil service, where he spent 21 years in the Office of the Inspector General Community as counselor, investigator, and senior executives at the National Archives, Department of Defense, and NASA. Ross now works as an administrative executive supporting oversight and law enforcement in the private sector in Washington, D.C. Wondering what to read after you finish Silent Killer? Partners in Crime Tours is your ultimate destination for all things mystery, crime, thriller, and cozy. Since 2011, they've been working to fill bookshelves with gripping and heart-pounding reads. Discover new mystery series and connect with other fans with Partners in Crime. Look up Partners in Crime Tours on the web or your favorite social media. And authors. Whether you're looking to promote your latest thriller, discover a new mystery series, or connect with fellow fans of the genre, PICT has you covered. Check out their promotion options that come with the personal attention of a dedicated coordinator. That word was supposed to be coordinator. I'm not sure exactly how many syllables I skipped in it. Join us next week for Season 8, Anything But Murder. It's the treat every Thanksgiving weekend needs. That hairdresser extraordinaire Henri Beauchamp is back. Cyberbullying is the murderless crime in Toxic by Robert J. Binney. All right, Jack, take us out.